Good morning, this is Dan Bell. It is Friday, May 31st, 2013, and I'm sitting here with Paul Doyle, who's the president and CEO of the Flip Flop Companies in Norfolk, this is, right?
Correct, yep.
All right, well, first of all, thank you very much for being willing to take part in our business-to-business mentoring series. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Dan.
So why don't we start with you just telling us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Sure. Well, I came to the area here in the late 80s, a military transfer in, and went to undergrad here in Virginia and then grad school here locally in Norfolk, and just decided that I was going to make this home at that point. And for a long time after grad school, I was a management consultant and just flew around the country, unfortunately, every Monday through Friday, and decided I wanted to get off the road. And when I did, I made contact with some folks here locally and made contact with some business owners as well. And that's how I kind of started up in this real estate world, which is what I operate in.
Mm-hmm. And tell us more about the activity that you're involved in the real estate world.
When I first joined up, we were a company that only had joint venture title insurance companies, and we had them all over the state of Virginia, a couple up in New Jersey, and all we did was title insurance. And as we went through our cycle there, life cycle of the company, we started being asked to perform closings and some other things that we did. So we opened up a settlement operation in the real estate, so we were actually conducting the real estate closings. At that point, I started to see how much revenue was being generated by the mortgage folks, and we opened up a mortgage broker house. So we had pretty much both sides of the buying or refinancing transaction in-house, from the mortgage side to the settlement and closing side. And we went in that line for quite a while until obviously our market started to change dramatically due to all the problems with the mortgage industry itself.
I can imagine.
It was a big drop, and it was I don't want to say instantaneous, but it was pretty darn quick. Mm-hmm. That changed our, ability to do the mortgage side. It dropped our ability to truly fund continued advancement in our company. So while this was happening, we also right before the drop, we started doing renovations and flips of real estate properties. We were getting a lot of folks that were dropping properties in our laps that said, we just have no desire or can't renovate them. Mm-hmm. We'd buy them, renovate them, and put them on the market for sale. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's pretty exciting. And how would you say the market is looking to you currently? We hear about lots of positive indicators, especially in the real estate market, about us coming out of the recession. What's your view on things?
I absolutely agree with that 100%. We have a pretty good snapshot of the market because our joint venture title companies still exist. So we've got some folks out there that are kind of spread throughout the area. So our data is not just compiled internally. Our data comes from some other folks as well, and everybody's seen an uptick for the last probably 7 or 8 months, pretty consistently. Mm-hmm. And really since January, it's been really, really nice. On our renovation and sales side of the house, we've experienced some just tremendous quick sales on our properties. We do a couple of things that are a lot different than some of our peer group and competition in our flips, and that's contributed a tremendous amount to our successes on that regard. Last week just set a new company record on sales. We listed a house on Tuesday, and it was listed for $219,000, and got an offer on Friday for $221,000.
Wow.
So
it should all work out like that.
I wish. There are the other side of the coin, that's for sure.
It all averages out, right?
It does. But you just hope for a sub 30-day sale, and that usually is what we plan on is 30 to 60 day sale.
Now, would you say that your business is 100% consumer, or do you have any commercial along the way?
It depends on how you define the commercial side, because of our joint venture title. Our client, if you will, is actually a business partner. So they're interfacing with the client. We're interfacing with a kind of a B2B aspect in that regard. On the renovation and sale side, then we are direct to consumer.
Very good. Well, one of the first things that pops to mind as we're talking about business-to-business mentoring and entrepreneurialism is some of the traits that entrepreneurs have, which is kind of a common thread. And so what I heard from you is that you really bounced back from adversity. You reinvented your company. You reestablished in a different way, and you're doing great.
Absolutely. There's something to be said for resolve. You really have to stay focused. And for most entrepreneurs, that's a really difficult activity. There's plenty of studies out there from some pretty prestigious institutions that didn't accept me when I applied. That say,
at least they opened your envelope. They didn't open mine. I got to return.
Let's say that 90+% of entrepreneurs have ADHD, if you believe in that diagnosis, and we bounce around a tremendous amount. If that can be focused into kind of reinventing your business as it needs to be, that can be a huge positive attribute. If it takes away, it can take away from your business if you don't have that ability to focus on the task at hand. And in my opinion, business is broken down into individual tasks that all operate underneath an umbrella. And if you can't focus on those tasks, and you can't be agile enough in your structure and the way you operate to respond to certain either industry or market conditions, then you're not going to be in business that long. And we've been very, very lucky in making some decisions that call it dumb luck, call it any kind of luck, I'll take it, that has put us through to this side, thankfully. There's a whole lot of folks that were a whole lot better capitalized than I was that weren't in business, that aren't in business anymore, and based upon the last 5 years in the real estate market. And
that actually leads to a question about startup financing. SBA, bank, friends, family, venture capital, it's all in the mix. How did you launch your business?
The title insurance side of the house, when I joined originally, that was a fairly good situation for me to enter into that market. The business was existing. There was a primary partner that was already doing business. He did not have the desire to truly grow that business any further than what he wanted, than what it was, and really didn't have a desire to manage any people. And that's kind of what my forte is stepping in. So it made for a very good partnership. So for me, it was a sweat equity buy-in originally to the title insurance business. The mortgage business, when we started that, we were again very fortunate. I'm a planner by sorts, and originally my project plan had a 6-month start time for our mortgage house, and we ended up accelerating that to a 3-month start plan. And thankfully we were profitable in the first month. That was a time where there were a lot of folks that were making good money in the mortgage industry, and so we became profitable pretty quickly. Now the renovation and sale side of the house, I've got a combination of some institutional money as well as private equity investor money that's tied to that. The financing part of business today is a different landscape than it was 3, 4, 5 years ago. While banks are starting to get a little bit freer with commercial lines and with residential and personal lines for individuals, it's still a different landscape, and probably it needed to be. There was far too many, in my opinion, signature loans that were going on in the bank institutional side that contributed to our kind of mortgage meltdown, if you will. There was no, I don't say no, but there was very little regulation on that, and there needed to be a lot more than there is.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk about as the business is ramping back up and coming out of recession. What are the challenges that you see in managing your business growth curve?
It depends on the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the side of the house. Thankfully, the title side is the title insurance joint venture side. I'm very, very lucky to have some very talented folks that, basically run that side of the house. I spend maybe 2 to 3 hours a week with my time allocated there. Majority of my time is spent on the buy, renovate, and flip. The tough aspect of that, of managing that, is just like anyone else that you've heard in the construction industry, it's managing subcontractors. Folks are there's different. Everybody has their own rationale for being in business, their own motivation for getting up and getting out of bed every morning, and a lot of times that's not in line with a larger, corporate type of mentality. So there's a whole lot of the management of individuals, and then you throw the human factor inside of it as well. I can tell you, Dan, if you walked out and asked anybody out there what one of the primary things that they have heard from me over the years and statements is, we're going to make mistakes, but how we respond to those mistakes is going to set us aside from every one of our other competition.
That's right.
And that's kind of the key. And I really, we really believe that as a company and a corporation.
Mm-hmm. Now you talk about some of the workforce challenges, and so you've got people that you've worked with for several years, but I'm sure people come and go as part of business, and so how do you attract the right caliber of personnel that you want representing your firm?
Once again, it depends on the what division they're involved with. For many years when the mortgage industry was going crazy, the folks that were in the title and settlement business, there was a split right down the middle. About 50% were very talented individuals that knew what they were doing. Then there was another 50% that were just kind of sitting in a chair because that chair needed to be filled. We all got very busy very quickly, so the training of those individuals wasn't where it needed to be. And now with where the industry is, those folks that didn't get training have pretty much moved on to different industries. So the folks that are looking in our industry in title and settlement are typically seasoned professionals that know what they're doing. So that's a pretty nice labor force to be able to pull from. And on the buy, renovate, and sell, that's very simple. My philosophy on that is, while everybody has their own motivation as a subcontractor to get out of bed, money is the common motivator. And the mentality that I take is, as soon as my subcontractors finish their work, I'm on site with a check. I don't ask them to come chase me around. If they have to get an inspection from one of the city building officials, as soon as they hand me that inspection card, I pay them in full. So I get a lot of responses very quickly from those folks, just because of that. There's a lot of my competition that try to keep their money in the bank for an extra couple, 3 days, where I'd rather it be in the hands of the guys turning the wrenches, because they're the ones that are keeping me going at this point. So with that being said, that word gets on the street very quickly, so there's no shortage of folks that contact me wanting to come do work for me because they know that they're not going to have to worry about getting paid on the backside.
That's a great story. So what kind of recommendations do you have for job seekers, not just for your company, but when you look at the market out there, when you look at caliber of individuals, skills that they bring to the table, etc., what would you tell somebody coming out of college or somebody who's changing careers or positions? That's a nice question, because it's got some different moving parts. However, the main focus for me would be get in the door, and how you get in the door for the interview is kind of where I'm focusing here. There's a lot of folks that compile a resume
and they don't tailor that resume to the posted job that they're applying for, or even if it's unposted to that particular company. I think it's incredibly important to make sure that obviously the resume has no misspellings, grammatically correct, et cetera, because those are the easy things for folks to discount individuals very quickly. When we post a job for the office here, I may get 60 or 70 resumes in a day. I've got to discount those very quickly. And truly what our first thing is, if we don't know the names, assuming that we don't know the names of any of the folks that we're applying, is, all right, well, how does that resume read? Is it tailored towards the job we have posted, our particular company, or is it just a general, I've done this for the last 5 years? And I think that's the key. Once you get in the door, then it's up to you to sell yourself. And everybody in business is a salesperson. You've got to sell yourself, you've got to sell your company, or you've got to sell your position. It all boils down to that for me.
That sounds great. Some great recommendations. Let's loop around and talk about organizations that you're a member of. And of course, you're a member of the Southeast chapter of the Entrepreneurs Organization, and I believe you're incoming president or chair for that.
I am the president. Yep.
Very good. Oh, you are now?
Well.
Oh, we're looking at the watch.
We're looking at the watch at the beginning of next fiscal year, so we're coming up on it.
All right. So, so how long have you been with that organization? And tell us a little bit about it. We've interviewed some of your colleagues from EO.
Sure.
I'd love to get your spin on it.
I've been in EO for a little more than 7 years now. I'm going into my coming up on my 8th year, and I will say that it has been the number one best thing I've ever done for myself business-wise. Better than grad school, undergrad, a lot of the professional certifications that I have. I really just give all those away just for the EO experience. We just got back from Panama for a conference down there of other board members across the globe. We've got over 9,000 members worldwide, and there was 780 or 790 of us all together in Panama, and it's just a tremendous organization of real like-minded folks. Those are the folks that I count on when I've got something kind of going sideways in my life, either personally or professionally. I've got a sounding board of 7 people in my particular type forum that know more about me than anyone else in the world, apparently. And you want them to keep it that way too. Absolutely, you know it. And globally, we've been able to establish a tremendous network of individuals, and I get emails probably every third week from somebody at another part of the country, either asking advice on my particular industry, asking advice on pretty much anything. One of the board members from the DC chapter was down here in Virginia Beach last weekend, and I got an email saying, hey, our board got an email from him just saying, hey, I'm in town with my 4.5-year-old. The weather isn't really cooperating for us to hang out on the beach. What can we do? And things like that are just a tremendous resource for us. And we sent him in a great couple of directions. He had a great time.
That's great, and that answers the next question that I was going to ask you is about where have you gone for guidance, mentorship, peer groups, etc. And you've identified you've got 7 people with EO that you speak to on a regular basis, and that's great. And how about outside of EO, because you've been with him for, you said, several years now, 8 years. How about before that, when you were just getting started?
Before that, it was a tough road because I didn't really have any resource. I've got tremendous friends, lifelong friends that are very smart people, but they weren't necessarily folks that were business owners. It's a different I'm dealing with a different line of questions and or needs as a business owner than a lot of individuals are as employees. So it was really difficult. I didn't really have a resource, quite honestly. I wish I did, and that's why, as soon as I was told about EO, I was just signed up instantly. I said, awesome. And EO, quite honestly, I give that organization and my tight, seven folks, I give them all the credit in the world for me still being in business. They talked me off the ledge a couple times, so to speak, and were able to help me figure out and navigate the crazy waters that was the real estate industry for the last 5 years.
Yeah, which has been some rough water for sure. So when we look at Hampton Roads, our region, and we see the impacts of sequestration, and we talk about diversification of our economy, and we focus on economic gardening, the strategies associated to grooming startup, small, medium, emerging companies, etc. How do you feel that EO could play a role in that capacity?
In many ways. Locally here, we hover right around 50 members. Of those 50 members, we've got over 3,000 employees, a tremendous amount of revenue, just in numbers, but in expertise and ability or availability of information, that's a huge factor. There's a lot of things that need to get done for a startup that some of us have done multiple times. You put 50, I guarantee if you polled the 50 members in our group and asked them, does your business today look like it did 5 years ago? I would say you'd have 50 people that said absolutely not, whether that means their primary core business or their additional business that they've started with other EO members or with other individuals. That's taken a different view. So in that regard, the mentor program just seems like a natural fit.
And I'm hoping we can get some great mileage out of that. Again, for the young up-and-comers in our region. When we talk about business training, and you talk about some of your postgraduate studies, et cetera, and of course a lot of it you learn on the job, if you will. And I think to your point that many of your colleagues in EO, whether it's postgraduate work, et cetera, people are still learning every day on the job, and their willingness to share that information. So would you suggest that that young companies seek to identify mentors or associates that may have made those mistakes in business along the way and learned?
Absolutely. Some of us have been in business for 20 plus years, and we get together and knock around ideas all the time. In my opinion, the first time you've got a business leader that says, I know everything and can do everything and can figure out everything, that's a short-lived business. There are no islands, just islands in business. You've got to have strategic alliances, whether that's on a business level, an emotional level, or all the above. Without those, then I really don't see longevity. If so, I know it happens, but I don't think that the chances are very high that would continue. Your growth would continue if you really have that type of an attitude.
That's great advice. So what makes you keep your business in Hampton Roads? We talk about brain drain. We talk about businesses that have had challenges in the area. Of course, businesses have challenges everywhere, but we're concerned about not being able to, number one, attract new businesses to the area, but secondarily, retain businesses in the area. What makes you comfortable in staying in Hampton Roads as a business person?
That's for me, given that we're in real estate, we've got a continual opportunity to sell our product with the military. So that's always a big attribute to the area. There's most services rotate every 2 years or so. So unless you go to a base that's right here locally again, you're getting a new influx of individuals every couple of years. I think that's pretty consistent with almost any business out there, though. The capitalization of the government and military, I think, is a huge bonus. And not only from a defense contracting role, you hear a lot about that lately, and how many folks are defense contractors and how well they're doing until this last little hiccup on the governmental fiscal radar, if you will. Having a business that people consume. Why wouldn't you want to be around all these individuals that are out there? Most of them are interested in spending money in their immediate local markets. So it just seems like a wonderful fit. As you can see here, Dan, our office is right on the water looking down on boats. That's not a horrible thing. And the area really is a pretty good area overall weather-wise. So it's been enjoyable for me.
That's great. We're certainly glad to have you in the region, staying in the region. So when you talk about your potential clients, military being one, how do you market? How do you advertise? You have a website? Do you do social media? What are your activities?
Going back to the statement a minute ago that nobody's an island, I have people in place that are just incredibly focused and dedicated. I've teamed up with just a great group of realtors that find the houses for me for the most part. They're involved with the planning of what's actually hot in the marketplace, the feedback they're getting from all the houses that they represent in regards to what sellers like, buyers like or dislike, and what make the houses move. So I've really tried to surround myself with the best possible resources, and on the buy, renovate, and sell side, I think I have that. We've got a tremendous team from finding the houses to the actual ultimate sale, and they do what they do best. In my opinion, you've got to segment your business to put the right resource in place to give your ultimate success. Without that, you're not gonna get to a place that is where you want to be in regards to the growth of your business, whatever you deem as where you want your business or what you want it to look like. I'm not a sales guy. I'm an operations and logistics guy, and so I wouldn't be the right person to take a field call about a potential house sale. I'd be like, all right, you need a house, I have a house, buy it. Very simple.
There we go.
Where the guys that we have in place, who's actually the owner of the real estate company, is another EOer. So it's been tremendous for me to do business with other EO folks, and as we go through it.
Well, very good. We're just about out of time, Paul, and so any closing remarks about in general, or things that we've talked about, and something to leave our listeners with? The hard part for me, given where our industry has been over the last 5 years, is for very large periods of that time, I forgot why I got in business, because I was so focused on whatever the fire du jour was. The one thing I would say is always remember that why you got in business. There's going to be the days you don't feel like getting out of bed or dealing with a personnel issue, a supplier issue, or whatever it is in your business. We all have those as business owners. Anybody that says that they don't, all the way up the corporate food chain, I think really isn't being honest. But always remember why you got in business. There's something that drove you to get in business, some fire inside of you. Try not to lose sight of that, even when things are going a little sideways on you. And hopefully you'll be able to find your way through whatever issue it is. And on the backside, take a breath, and once again, remember why you got in business. Well, those are just outstanding comments. So once again, I'm with Mr. Paul Doyle, President and CEO of the Flip Flop Companies, on Friday, May 31st from one of the worst offices I've ever seen in my life. The view is horrible, and I might just want to hang around here for the rest of the day. So, Paul, thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you for contributing to the economic strength of our region, Hampton Roads, and thank you for your willingness to help guide our young business leaders toward greater success.
Sounds great. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much.